Welcome to the Working Women's Channel. My name is Clara Capano, and we're going to share the real secrets to success. Come on in. Natalie, thank you so much for joining me today and bringing an opportunity to share your story with our viewers.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I know, it's fun. You and I have been working together for a few years, with on the ninja side as coaches and instructors. So we've gotten a chance to get to know each other. And so I know a little bit of the path that you've taken over the course of your career.
Yeah.
And I think that you can bring so much value to a lot of our viewers.
Yeah.
One of the things that we know, and you and I have talked about this, is the road to success isn't always easy. Sometimes there's some bumps in the road. There's areas where we sometimes have to completely change and pivot. Can you think of a time where you faced a particular challenge and maybe had to redirect your focus and continue to go forward?
So about 11 years ago, my family and I moved to Colorado from Texas. And at that time, being the trailing spouse, we moved because of my husband's job. Being the trailing spouse, I basically had to recreate myself. But I realized during that transition that was an opportunity for me to be available for my girls. I also have 2 daughters. So I thought, let me pull back and I'll take this time of transition to get acclimated, get the family familiar with the area. We had never visited Colorado as a family. We'd only come out to house shop once, and then we planted ourselves and we were here. So I took about a year and a half to really figure out what I was going to do, because to me, it was a complete page turn in my life. I had this entire career that I had established for myself in Texas in the nonprofit world. I was the executive director for an organization. Just wonderful, right? I just thought, okay, this is my path. This is what I'm going to do for the next 10 or 15 years. And then life had a different plan.
Right.
So we moved to Colorado. I unplugged for a year and a half to be there for the girls. And really in that time, I realized, and I was reminded, I'm probably not the best stay-at-home mom. And that is nothing to say for the stay-at-home moms out there. They do amazing jobs.
They are.
And I'm not going to compare. They do fabulous jobs. I know that that's not what I'm cut out for. I just really love engaging with other people and helping to pour into other people in addition to pouring into my kids. So that was a hard transition for me because I basically put my entire career on hold to become that trailing spouse and to be there for my kids. Would I do it again? Absolutely, in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
But that, again, giving myself that opportunity to really reflect and think, what do I want this next chapter to look like? I wouldn't be here today if I didn't have that time to really reflect, because that's when the door to real estate actually opened for me.
I love it.
Yeah.
So in looking at that, I think right now, especially with the way that the world is going, so many women in business are either deciding to shift.
Yes.
Maybe because they want to or they have to.
Right.
They might be getting laid off. I have a friend of mine with all the transitions after 20 years. She was laid off from her job. And that could be really scary. Sometimes they might have the flexibility to have a year and a half to reflect, but what if they don't? What would be maybe some thoughts that you would have of some things that you learned, if they don't have a year and a half to reflect or have a spouse or a significant other they can have help them?
Absolutely. Well, let me tell you, I probably didn't need the full year and a half, and my girls would probably agree and say I was too available, too long. But I enjoyed that time. I think as allowing yourself to have some quiet time, and that could be a day, that could be a weekend, where you just really sit down and ask yourself, what is it that you want? What brings us joy? What fills our passion? So the first thing that I would say, if you are either pivoting voluntarily or forced to pivot during this time, to do so and do so intentionally, right? So don't settle for something that that's not fulfilling to you, that's not going to bring you joy or for you to bring joy to other people, because that's just going to be a short-term solution.
Right.
Really look for that long-term solution. Like, what brings you joy? What lights your fire? What really ignites you? That helps you jump out of bed every morning. Focus on those things that really bring you passion and joy, and then focus on something that will also become income producing in that process, right? So aligning what you do as a career along with the passion and joy that you have in life, that it's so valuable.
And I love, because we're getting a little coaching from you, because you also are a business and, professional coach. So I love that you're talking about this joy. And I don't know if you're going to know the answer to this. It's just something that came up for me as I was listening to you. I think sometimes women in business, we don't allow ourselves to look for that joy. Maybe we tell ourselves, I'll do that when my kids are grown.
Yes.
But we get, involved in, I have to work. And I think we put joy on the back burner. What do you think about that?
Oh my gosh. I can actually think of many situations where I've turned down opportunities because of my responsibilities as a mom. And again, no regrets, but I think about that, and I think about, let's just say, very early in my life, when I was doing undergrad, I thought, oh, I'm going to become a news journalist. That's what I thought. And then I realized the time commitment, the time away that I'd had at the time. I just had one daughter. So thinking, okay, so I'm going to spend this much time away from her. What is that going to look like? What impression will that leave on her? And then I thought, well, surely as a mom, I can't do that. So you put that on hold, right? So maybe eventually I'll get back to that.
Right.
Okay, I'm not going to enter that field at 40 plus. That's not an option anymore. But you're absolutely right. Like having that opportunity to really just say, okay, it may take away time from kids or family or significant other, but does it really feed you?
Right.
Because what I've found is like when you start to plug into those things that really feed you, time is no longer even a unit of measure, right? Because you know that you're now able to find this harmony in your life. It's a true harmony that you've identified. So yeah, I think that's a long answer to
No, I
your
think
questions.
that's perfect, because I think, we have to, it is, and that gets me into my next question, which is the trade-offs. And I think, but looking at those trade-offs to, again, really looking at the big picture, because if it is going to feed you and feed your energy, is there a way that you can partially do it or manage it to work, even though you can't have all of it right now? Like I am a speaker. I love being on the road. Now, needless to say, I can't do it every week because I also want to be there for my son. But I have found a company and a platform where I can do it just enough where it feeds me and keeps me energized and gives me the flexibility to be there for Nicholas. So I think, again, looking at those, but I think don't always just say, I can't do it now, especially if it's something that feeds you. Maybe find a smaller way to be able to bring it in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think there are so many opportunities. For those that are in the world of real estate that are watching this, when I got into real estate 11 years ago, we had a family meeting. My family actually sat down at the dinner table and I said, hey guys, here's the thing. I'm starting an entire new business. I need you to give me 1 year that I can completely dedicate to this. And when I say dedicate, it's every day of the week, weekends included. I'm doing open houses. I'm picking up signs. Now, in the world of pandemic, that might not be the case for most people. But it was really, everyone needs to be on board for that. And that was a sacrifice that I made. There were sporting events that I missed during that time, or times that I'd have to jump out of a basketball game to take a phone call in the hallway of the schools, right? So there's a lot of that juggling. But I asked my family to give me permission to allow that 1 year worth of time. And then from there, in real estate specifically, you have the flexibility of building the business that you want to build, however you'd like that to look. I then made the choice to scale that back, right? Weekends were for my family. We're doing hikes, we're going camping, we're doing those types of things so we can have those memories together. So really finding that balance, again, it's the harmony, right? When you realize that what you're doing and you're passionate about is in harmony with your personal life and all of the other elements of your life, and areas of your life, it just comes naturally. I think that's been my experience.
I agree. And I think you hit on something really poignant here, and I hope that our viewers can see this. I want to talk a little bit more about this idea of having a family meeting, regardless of what your family looks like. And I think that so many people are not doing that on the front end, and the importance of communicating the goals, the expectation, but also bringing it back to, and this is what it means for you. In business, if you're a leader, we talk about what's expected of you, what's in it for you. But I think we have to do that for our families as well. And I know when I do my business plan every year, I do sit down with my son and say, this is what the plan is, this is what's going to be expected, but this is the benefits. And I make sure that he understands. So if you could maybe, again, just talk a little bit more maybe about the importance of that, or maybe, some of the things that have really helped you in that realm, because I think more people need to do that.
Absolutely. So I think it was just through observation. I was fortunate in getting into this industry to have the access to experienced agents that have been in the industry for quite a while. And when you have access to a wealth of knowledge, I didn't take it for granted, right? I tapped in, and there were many experienced agents, veteran agents that made it very clear that your family is priority, right? If that's something that's important to you, you need to make sure that it continues to be important to you. So then you build everything else around that, right? And so if you're not having that conversation on the front end, you will have a conversation.
Yeah, you definitely, at some point, you're having a conversation.
Exactly. So why not control how that conversation is going to go, right? So ask, and I say ask for permission. And I say that a lot. I say that a lot with my coaching clients. And sometimes we're looking for permission from ourselves. Sometimes we're looking for permission and kind of a validation from other people. And I think when you sit down and you set that expectation, like when you sit down with Nicholas every year and you say, hey, here's what I'm doing. I'm going to be on the road these days, and then I'm home and we're going on vacation these weeks. He's able to say, okay, mom is here and this is my time with mom and this is my mom's time with her clients, right? Because he now understands the value of your business to you as well as his value to you, right? It's not that he's second thought.
Right.
I think that's really important. And again, I think you're spot on. It doesn't matter what your family dynamic looks like. The people that are important to you are probably the people that need to be involved in that planning
And I
process.
think, again, letting them know, just like you said, this is when I'm going to be mom. This is when I'm going to be in business. And what I find is that if you tell them weekends are for family time and you show up, they know they can forgive all the other things where you're 15 minutes late here.
Absolutely.
So going back to the idea of trade-offs, because as working moms, as working women, a lot of times there are trade-offs. And you mentioned, some of the games, the athletics, the school functions. Any other trade-offs that you had to make, maybe even in your relationships?
Yeah, that's a good question. I thought about that deeply, and what comes up for me is I don't think I had a lot of trade-offs. I think I just tweaked the way things were done.
Okay.
So I think about my days back in Texas. If I was running an event or there was an event that was happening, my kids were there, right? So there were they had a lot of volunteer hours before volunteer hours were necessary in their lives, right? But they knew that that was part of my world, and that was my way to bring them into my work, my career. I still do the same thing, right? So if it's a matter of me having a day with my, she's now 17-year-old, so my youngest is 17. So with my 17-year-old, if we're having a day and then I have a client that wants to see a property, okay, so here's the thing. We're going to take a look at the property and then we're going to go and have nail day, right? So, but she's there along to go through that process. Earlier in my career, when I was doing open houses and we made that commitment, give me a year, the girls would come and visit me at the open houses just for like 5 minutes. It's just hey, we wanted to see you. We're heading out to go do something else, but we wanted to see you. You're still having that bond that's being built within the family. So I don't think of it necessarily as a trade-off, or maybe it is. Maybe people see that as a trade-off. I know that may stress some people out, just having your worlds collide per se.
But I think, again, it goes back to what you said is you have to look for the opportunity.
Yes.
This is how it's going to be.
Yes.
It is what it is.
Exactly.
So we could look at the opportunity or we could look at the challenge.
Yes.
So let me ask you this. What would you say, or in your opinion, what do you think are some of the most challenging things of being a woman in business?
Oh gosh, that list could be lengthy. I'll speak personally. I think a lot of times I believe that I can take on more than I probably should. I feel that I'm fully capable of taking it on. One consistent theme that I see is, saying no to things, right? And because we are mom, we're usually, taking care of the home, taking care of the kids, homework, food, meal prep, dogs, cats, whatever it may be, fish in our case, right? So whatever it may be, you're used to multitasking, and I use that term lightly, not that we're multitasking, but juggling multiple projects at the same time. So in business, I see that as an opportunity, as a strength that I have, but it's not necessarily a tool or a strength that I need to use, right? I don't need to make myself available for every project all the time. My biggest challenge is in thinking that I need to be the person that completes all of the tasks because I'm able to do so.
I think it goes back to, and you probably share some of this with your coaching clients, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. Yes. So the same thing applies to us, right? Especially in business. And you look at like juggling all of the plates and it's like, okay, that's fine. I'll take that on as well. Or something else comes your way. It's like, oh, it's okay. I'll take that on as well.
Yeah.
And what I've realized is you don't have to take all of it on. And like you said, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Right.
Build a team around you that really can support you in achieving those additional items. And if it's not something that really, again, goes back to feeding your passion, then is it something that you need to do anyway?
Exactly. And that's what I think really hone in on is it's okay to take things on because everybody has different things that are in their wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Some people who are in the same career path that I am don't enjoy writing, so they offload the writing of blogs and things. I love to write, so that is something I do because there's other things I don't excel at and don't bring me joy. So I think that is really important. I want to talk for a moment about this idea of building your team because I think when we say that to someone, they think I have to go hire all these people. So what does building a team mean to you?
Gosh, that's such a great question. So I think there are many teams that you should have in place. You definitely need to have someone that is going to serve as a coach in some capacity. You only know as much as you know. And the other side of that is you don't know what you don't know, right? So someone that is an expert in the area that you're wanting to continue to serve in. And finding that coach that will help drive you to take your business or it may just be personal growth to the next level. And I'm going to pause and touch on that. It could be a personal coach and a business coach or both, right? Because I think that there's a lot of development that we all need to work on personally as well, like just internal work that we need to work on. So really identifying that person. Next is finding someone accountable. And it could be a person or a group of individuals. Like you're a tribe of individuals that will just make sure that you're not getting off path or that you're not distracted by the shiny objects because sometimes that happens. Also, as business owners, we get siloed in, right? So I talk about the shiny objects, but then it's also blinders on, head down. I need to get these things done. And we're missing all of these opportunities that are coming past us because we're so focused on our to-do list or the tasks that we need to do. And then if there's support, you don't necessarily need to hire on an entire staff. There are a ton of resources now. Like you mentioned in writing, every time you post a blog, you do the Forbes pieces, and I think, okay, I'm going to start writing. And then I think, I don't enjoy it. Why am I going to do it? So I'll turn the video on instead, right? I'll jump in front of a video and do a quick video, but I don't do the blog post. So find what you will and you enjoy doing, the things that you want to do. The other things you can outsource those to someone else, right? So finding an additional support person that you can pay maybe hourly or just bringing them on, but you don't need to hire a full-time person with benefits that now you're paying. We don't need to go down that path until you're ready to do so.
Right. I think it's important to also find your tribe that's going to feed your soul.
Absolutely.
So I have my cheerleader. I have the people that make me laugh. So when I'm having those days, because I think sometimes, as we do this in leadership, we can't always be vulnerable with everyone. So I think being able to identify who are the people you can be real with, who are the ones that are going to be real with you, but that you can also say, I'm falling apart. And I need some help.
Absolutely.
And that was a big lesson for me. I really struggled with asking for help when I was younger because I thought that was a sign of weakness.
Exactly. Absolutely.
So let me ask you this then. So we talked about the things that are challenging for a woman in business. What do you think are some of the joys, some of the best parts of being a woman in business?
It's empowering just to be a female in business, right? I love being a woman in business. I think there's just, regardless of the industry that you're in, when you encounter other women, business owners, female business owners, there's just, there's a sense of pride that is they just exude. And I hope that that's what I do as well. But I love just the sense of pride that comes in the creation of the business, the opportunity to empower other people, or at least point them in direction so that they realize that they can empower themselves as they're going through their journey. I love that piece of it. I think there's such a tremendous reward in that. Also, we talked about your passion and your purpose, right? So for me, my passion is in feeding and pouring into other people. Like, I absolutely love that. And that comes in many forms for me. I've been fortunate to find that. So with business coaching and doing one-on-one coaching with clients across the nation, that's in real estate, in speaking and teaching, that all gives me the opportunity to pour into other people that they can continue to grow.
Right.
And that is huge. Like, I just absolutely love that piece.
So tell me, what are you most proud of? When you look back on your career, on your life, what are you saying that you feel most proud of?
Gosh, that's a great question. Working through the failures. That's probably my biggest win. At the moment, it's challenging, right? And it's just like you kick yourself. It's like, well, you really screwed that up, right? Or what made you make that decision? But even with that, like, I've never, and I knock on wood, like, just in my experiences, I've never let those failures hold me back or take me off course for the direction that I was wanting to go. So
I love that.
Continuing to progress. Yeah.
I remember early on in my career, when I was selling real estate full time, we actually would have to share on a weekly basis what our golden moment was. And our golden moment basically was, what did you screw up last week? And what did you learn from it so you don't do it again?
Yes.
So, again, it taught us not to fear failure, because as long as we learn from it and grow from it, it's actually an opportunity. So what's next for you when you're looking at going forward to this year and beyond? What's next for Natalie?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So what I've realized, and I continue to realize, and it comes full circle, is really my desire to help others, to feed into others. So obviously this year I'm still coaching, so I'm still a ninja coach, and we'll take on a few more clients this year. I'm going to say that loosely, not a ton more, but a few more. I have that on my schedule that's available, and really getting out and speaking more. So opportunities like this, where I get to sit down and have the one-on-one conversation, or even just speaking, just with different networks and groups that I'm a part of. So really involved with the Realtor Association, involved with the Women's Council of Realtors and the National Association of Real Estate Brokers. So having the opportunity to share with them and pour into them and those organizations as much as they need me.
So any last words, any last messages you want to share with our viewers?
Gosh. For all of the amazing women out there that watch, first of all, kudos to you. I love the platform. I love the show. And I think before we started, I shared just how powerful and moving the stories have been so far. So thank you for bringing those to the table. Just believing and trusting in yourself and knowing that you are enough.
So now there's going to be viewers out there that are watching this that connect with you, your story, and maybe even want to learn a little bit more, or even hire you as a coach. Where can our viewers find you?
So as far as social media is concerned, I'm most active on Instagram. So you can find me at Ninja Coach Natalie on Instagram. And then Natalie at ninjacoaching.com is my email, and we can get my phone number on the screen as well. Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, thank you again. I've always just admired you. I know that we've only known each other for a few years, but you have so much grace, so much beauty, professionalism, and you always come from a place of heart and love. And I just appreciate and acknowledge you for your giving spirit, and just thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.